Pet Partners Therapy Animal Program. While we are waiting for everyone who signed up to join us, I want you guys to just tell me where you're from. How did you learn about Pet Partners? What kind of animals do you have at home? Are your animals helping you out while you're being isolated and socially distanced? I know mine are. I have 3 cats. So go ahead and let us know. We've got 3 of our lovely volunteers here. At Pet Partners, we call a human volunteer handler and their animal a team. So I'll be referring to them as teams throughout the meeting, the presentation. So we have Steve and his wife, Kashia. Kashia,
yeah. Hi, I'm Kashia Fontenot, and this is my husband, Steve, and we're from San Antonio, Texas, and we've been pet partners with, this is Bellin, our husband.
Oh, hi, Tracy. Tracy is our development director out in Virginia, and she has an adorable basset hound named Frisco. We have someone from California. Hi, Ever. I hope you said your name right, Ever. I'm here in New York. And so, Steve and Kasha, where are you guys?
We're in San Antonio.
You're in Texas. And then Abby and Franklin, where are you guys?
We're in Dallas, Georgia.
Cool. So we've got the South represented. And then Tracy, where are you?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
It's all the South and the West. We need some Midwesterners. I'm sure they're tuning in to this.
We call it the
live.
I-10 crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone from Washington. Oh, hi, Annie. Annie is our fearless leader.
Hi, Annie.
Auntie Annie's in the house.
Hi. You got 2 people with basset hounds. That's interesting.
Hi, Mary.
Hi,
Mary
Mary.
is one of our volunteer leaders. How are you doing, Mary? Another Mary in Virginia has golden retrievers. We definitely have a lot of golden retrievers in the program, but as we're going to talk about, there's a really wide variety of breeds that belong to Pet Partners, as well as species, which I hope you can see. Our little gray friend there, Franklin, is a rat. We also have another beautiful gray friend, Roger Sterling. I love his name. That's very
Hey,
cute,
Golden
Tracy.
Wolves. I know Golden Wolves. Hey, Rosalind.
Deborah in New Jersey. Hello, East Coaster. How you doing? I'm here in New York. So everybody in the chat, you all have dogs so far, I'm assuming. Are there any? Oh, you have a pig!
You have a mini pig from Atlanta. Hello.
Oh, therapy bunnies.
Got a name?
Right, therapy pig.
Yay.
All right, we got some people from SoCal. Pet Partners has a chapter in SoCal. Welcome. We also have a chapter in Arizona.
I'm part of the chapter in Arizona.
Cool. Elizabeth in Connecticut. Very nice. Orvis is sleeping. No problem. It's a good time to take a nap. Marcy has 2 bunnies, has a dog and 2 bunnies. So you guys are volunteers here. Do you have multi-species households?
We have dogs. I used to live with cats as well, so yeah.
Great.
I love dogs, but I just have cats right now.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I have 3 cats, and I would love to have a dog, but my retired pet partner, Wayne, is a little bit afraid of dogs, so that's not going to happen until he is no longer with us, which hopefully will be for a long time yet.
And we're just a dog household. We do dog rescue, so it's, especially Huskies and Malamutes
Oh, yeah.
is mainly what we
They're very needy.
So they've got that prey drive, so we kind of,
Yeah, it's risky.
I have terriers. They wanted to, like, my first 2 rats, they were really, really interested in them, and my first 2 rats weren't, like, really, one of them kind of nibbled at one of the dogs.
Oh.
After that, they're like, you're not going to touch the rats at all. And they were scared of them for forever. And now they've kind of more opened up, just learned to keep their distance. It's really nice and sweet. They both kind of respect each other's boundaries.
Oh, good. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, so looks like we've got a whole bunch of people chiming in and logging in. So welcome, everyone. We're here to talk about our National Therapy Animal Day initiative. So this is a big awareness event that Pet Partners created several years ago, I believe in 2015. And it's really all about spreading the word about this wonderful work and recognizing our awesome volunteers. So I have on the call with me today Steve and Kashia with their dog Bellin. He's a beautiful husky. And then we have Abby and Franklin, her rat. She has 2 therapy rats at home. And then we have Tracy and her cat, Roger Sterling, in Arizona. And I'm just going to have them go around and introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about their history, about their animals, how long they've been with Pet Partners, and what kind of things their animals like to do. So I am looking at them in our chat in order, but I had them in my little script in alphabetical order. So we're going to have Abby go first.
Okay. My name's Avi Chestnut, and this is Franklin. He's a therapy rat, and he's taking a little nap now. He's like, oh, just woke up. I've been with Pet Partners since 2017. I've had 3 therapy rats. I've had Oliver, Vincent, and Franklin. We've done reading programs. We've done stuff at colleges. The finals week stuff is really fun. With the reading program, Vincent was in that for a while, and that was really, really great to see improvement, reading improvement with their confidence. Franklin does a lot of eating, a lot of sleeping. He's a great guy. We just had his test in November, so he hasn't really done that much. We're hoping to do some more as soon as everything opens back up. But it's really great to have a therapy rat. It's different than a dog. Some kids are scared of dogs because they might be bigger or more energetic than a small little rat. Something a little different. So I'm from Dallas, Georgia, and I've actually worked with Compassionate Paws in Rome, Georgia, and now recently working with Caring Paws in Atlanta.
Good for you. Thank you. Okay, so now can we hear from Tracy and Roger, who's relaxing?
Honestly, it's what he does best. So my name is Tracy, and this is Roger. He is 5 years old. His birthday was this April. We have been a registered therapy team since he was 1 year old. So we've been doing this for 4 years. We volunteer in the Phoenix area with Hospice of the Valley and Phoenix Children's Hospital. We've done some events at ASU. I actually work at ASU, and he usually comes and does our Halloween. Every year we do a little theme and we incorporate him. We are part of the Pet Partners of Phoenix members group, and that's it.
Great. Thank you. And finally, Steve and Kashia, please tell us about yourselves and your furry friend Bellin there.
Of course. I'm Kashia Fontenot. This is my husband, Steve, and this is, of course, Bellin. We have been Pet Partners since 2013. We're coming to you from San Antonio, Texas.
And Bellin was a cruelty seizure here in San Antonio back in 2011. Here, try to get him into the screen a little bit better for you. And became, as Kashia said, a Pet Partner in 2013. He has been using his story of rescue, of hope and resilience to work with children in crisis all around the city. Bellin is about 12 and a half now, and he is wrapping up a very successful career.
Good for you guys. So I'm really glad that Steve mentioned that, because Abby also has what we call a retired pet partner. There is a minimum age to join, which is about a year for most species. For the pocket pets like rats, it's 6 months. But there is no maximum age, because we really want to know that, they just have the aptitude for the work. So sometimes when animals get a little older, they might have some changes. They might feel a little more grumpy. They might be less tolerant of being crowded by whole bunches of people, which is fine. Everybody gets a little bit more grumpy in their old age, and they have the right to relax. So The handler just lets us know, like, yeah, I think he's done doing this work, and we give them what we call a retirement. But there's no maximum age for that. We just find it out when they test again every 2 years. So congratulations, Belen, on your retirement. And Abby, what is your other rat's name who's now retired?
Vincent.
Vincent. Thank you for your years of service, Vincent. Congratulations on your retirement. So as you guys are hearing, and I hope realizing, there's 2 really awesome features that we like to promote about our program. One of them is that, of course, we welcome multiple species. Pet Partners has 9 different species of animals. Of course, dogs are the most common, but there's also, let's see if I can do this from memory, cats, rabbits, horses, pigs, birds, guinea pigs, and the camelids, the llamas, and alpacas. Did I leave anything out, guys? Did I get them all?
Did you get birds?
Yes, birds. So,
Alfie says you forgot him. Alfie is Bella's brother, and he's going to be crashing the program from time to time. I'm sure.
Sorry about that.
So do anyone in the comments, do any of you have any interest in those kinds of species? I know that the mini horses and the donkeys are very popular in our program. They're one of the larger non-species or non-canine groups. And we have lots of cats. There's very few pigs and very few birds. So if there's any of you tuning in, we would really like to talk to you and have you sign up to give back to your communities if you're interested. Mini horses, great. We've found that the mini horse people are very passionate and very dedicated and hardworking. So thank you all for all you do. Are there any other questions about non-canine species that you want me to answer? Everybody goes through a very similar evaluation.
We get lots of questions about ours.
Yeah.
We actually have a video up on our YouTube of Vincent's evaluation. It's very similar to the dogs. It has to be like in a basket or in a towel. We pass them around. Be okay with petting, giving a treat, and nicely. Being around another dog is pretty simple. Just they don't need to freak out about anything. Rats don't usually freak out too much.
I just recently met my first therapy alpaca, and it's the coolest thing.
Yeah, they're really great. They're so soft.
Yeah.
Well, therapy llamas, we just love them.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah. And those guys all have the kind of novelty factor. They really get people's attention. They really perk everybody up.
They do. I mean, if you don't perk up in a hospital when a therapy llama walks into your room, then I don't know how to help you.
We have a couple of people asking about goats. Unfortunately, they're one of the people we hear from a lot. We've got a lot of passionate goat people out there. We all love goats. Unfortunately, they're not one of the species currently permitted in our program. There's a very long process that we use. It's all expert input and research based. We have to know that the animal's behavior is really predictable in unfamiliar settings, and they have to be reliably house trained. So once we get enough evidence that the species we don't currently admit are reliably house trained for infection control reasons, then we will revisit those species. But unfortunately, goats are not allowed at this time.
We have 4 litter boxes in our cage.
Yeah.
We have a big cage and a litter box in every corner.
Yeah, same with rabbits. Rabbits are litter trained as well. Okay, so I don't see very many more questions about non-canines. Okay, so Abby talked a little bit about her rats on visits. That rats, just like all the other species, have to meet the same standards. They have to be friendly, calm, easygoing, easy to control, okay with wearing a harness. Everyone wears a harness and a leash. So Abby, have you had any unusual or interesting interactions because Franklin is a rat? What do people usually say to you? Do they want to say hi, or are they a little grossed out, or which one do you see more?
It depends. I usually get people like, "Oh, is that a rat?" Sometimes they don't think it's a rat; they think it's a hamster or ferret, kitten. I've had it all because he is a large rat. Most of my rats are. But usually people are interested, and they come, and we have crowds of people around asking questions. And yeah, we've had a couple people who were just like, no, thank you. Actually, or maybe a little ruder than that. But I'm like, it's fine. I'm not going to push my rat on anybody. I'm just, it's okay. It's fine. You can watch from afar. I do encourage people who do come up and pet them. I actually give out buttons that say I pet a therapy rat, and it's a little incentive. They get something to take home and look at our website and everything. But yeah, it's usually very positive, and people are really, really excited. I hear like some squeals and stuff. We go to colleges a lot, and that's what I hear a lot. Like, oh, what is that? Like from afar. I'm like, yes, it's a rat. Come on over. This is Franklin. Answer questions. It's so much fun.
Great. So there's a few questions about wearing a harness. Did you train Franklin? And Tracy, you can chime in too. People don't usually think of cats and rats and the other animals wearing equipment. Did either of you have any challenges? How did you teach your animals to be okay with that equipment?
It was a little bit of a learning curve, but not too much. I see the about them being bad. These are like adjustable and everything, and they can easily get out of it if they really, really want to. This is made especially for rats. I get a lot of questions about the harness. But they usually get used to it pretty quickly. I use a lot of treats with my training. So
yeah,
it's all about safety. About safety.
So Roger, I've had him since he was 2 months old or 3 months old, and he really wanted to go outside. And I just told him, if you want to go outside, you have to wear a harness. So he had a little tiny harness when he was a kitten that he wore. And we used to go in the car to get ice cream. And these are all things that I recommend because it gets them used to the car and going places and wearing the harness. And so for him, I just did it so young that it was easy for him. Now he has a brother who will also wear a harness, and he'll go outside, but not very far. And he took a lot of treats and a lot of kind of like progression training where you leave the harness out on the couch for like a week so that they can get used to it. And then you put it on them, and then you give them more treats, and then eventually you're outside. So there's many different ways to do it, but it is easier when they just take to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to train my cat Wayne for a little while, and we just did the gradual, like put it over his head, give him a treat. Yeah, anything that's positive reinforcement based, and you kind of take your time and you let the animal get used to it. Yep.
I'm all about baby steps.
We had a question about someone in Westchester County. Hello, fellow New Yorker. Hi, Brenna. Yes, we do have evaluators in your area. Definitely get in touch with the Pet Partners person there. You can direct message us, and we'll help you find an evaluation near you. We have evaluations available in almost all 50 states. Oklahoma is where we're constantly striving to get more people. If you have connections in Oklahoma, we'd love to hear from you. But we're always working towards making sure that everyone who requests a therapy animal visit can have one. And so now, back to Stephen and Kashia, you guys have a really interesting story. We just did an awesome video on you about Bellen's history and his work now, or his previous work. When did he retire?
It's been a slow process over about the last year. We started to notice him slowing down. And so we just slowly started, discontinuing our visits at some of the facilities. He's still, registered, and he still comes to work with us at our pediatric office. So he still gets a little bit of work in, but we've just stopped all of his facility visits.
Okay. So go ahead and share a little bit about his history and his wonderful Cinderella story that he has.
Sure. Let me get His Majesty into the screen here. Yeah, Bellen was, like I mentioned in our intro, he was a cruelty seizure in 2011. He had been beaten horribly and for a very long time. His original owner did end up eventually going to jail. And Bellen came to us and Texas Husky Rescue. And during his time with us as a foster, when we were rehabbing him, we just started noticing this growth in his personality. He stopped being scared of people and started liking to meet people. we started bringing him to our office a little bit, and he just had this affinity towards children. They'd be crying, getting shots, or not feeling good, and you could just see it on him that he wanted to give them comfort. And that was when we started, realizing he might be a really good therapy dog.
Good for you guys.
And in 2013, at Rescue Plus 20 months, is when he passed his evaluations for the first time. And I mean, he's been making people smile ever since.
Great. Roger is sitting up and realized, oh, excuse me, I'm not the center of attention. Please excuse my brilliance, people. That was very cute that he gave you a little nose kiss too.
Yeah.
That's something I hope you guys are all noticing, is that our handlers, they are able to do this work because they have really secure, deep bonds with their pets. Their pets trust them, and they trust their animals. They really take care of each other. It's one of the foundational concepts of our program is an acronym we call YAYABA, which means you are your animal's best advocate. So these guys are really exemplary handlers in that they really always are checking in with their animal, making sure they're okay, making sure they're happy. They love their animals. They want to do what's best for them all the time. Oh, there's the treats. I see.
Well, we do what we got to do,
And so Bellin was a rescue. I know at least one of Abby's rats is a rescue. I see that Roger does he have an ear tip?
He does, but that's a mistake. He was actually born in my friend's yard, and she took them to get neutered, and she said something that made them think that they were going outside, so they took his ear. He's kind of sensitive about it.
So he didn't have to live on the streets for any
No.
long period of time. But if he ever gets out, he won't get accidentally trapped. So good for you, Roger. And you'll notice from my T-shirt is "Rescued is my favorite kind of therapy animal." We welcome rescue animals of all sorts. There's no breed that makes a good therapy animal over another. It's all about the individual.
It's definitely true. Even with rats, my rescued rat has the best personality, and he was literally off the street. So just all depends on personality. Somebody else asked about for therapy rats, what are you looking for? And it is all personality and just how they are, their temperament.
Yeah, the dogs to go through some training. They have to know their basic obedience cues, and some of the other animals like the horses and llamas, they have to be able to stay and back up and do things like that. But the most extensive skills is with the dogs. All the other species, it's really just about being generally calm and easygoing. So another one of the things I wanted to talk about with you guys is what kind of populations and environments do you visit in? So we have teams all over the country. They don't have a minimum participation requirement. We really let volunteers decide how much they're going to give back to their communities based on both their aptitude and their animals' aptitude. So anywhere that people are in need and you have permission to visit, you are welcome to make connections in your community. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about where you guys visit. What kind of facility is it? What kind of population? Abby, you can go first. We're just doing alphabetical order.
That's fine. We really like to do the college visits, the finals weeks visits. We do a lot of them in Rome, Georgia, where I was located before. I think that's the most fun because I'm more close to their age group, and so I kind of vibe with them a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But also, they're missing their animals at home, and we've kind of become a regular over there at a Berry College, Shorter University, Georgia Highlands. They know to come to those events because they want to see the rat or just come visit and say hi or just chill with us. It's just really relaxed and something for them to do. And I've been there very recently, so I understand quite how it is.
All right, cool. There's a couple of questions that I'm going to catch up on for a second. How many cats are registered? I want to say it's around 200. Maybe my colleague can check on that. And then the evaluation process, so the important thing for you guys to know if you're planning on joining us as a volunteer is that we evaluate the human and the animal, both halves of the teams. All of our handlers have to take handler course. You'll learn all about the rules and policies and procedures, as well as what the test looks like. There's about 22 exercises. We want to see that you are communicating with your animal, you're protecting them, that you're able to multitask between protecting them and directing people how to interact with your animal. And we want to see that they're okay with equipment, with loud noises, with crowds. The test is meant to mimic an actual visit. So we walk you through a number of scenarios that you're likely to encounter on a visit. And I'm sure you guys have all had an experience where you're like, oh, this was on the test. I know what to do. So you can learn more about that by going to our website, petpartners.org. Are there any
I've always, like for the tests, I always, like the rats always score higher than me. It's just how it is.
Yes, it is not uncommon for the animal to score higher than their human.
It's not always
So
about.
Helen got me through the evals.
Yeah.
You gotta always like realize what you're doing too is very important, not just your animal, which I'm always like focused on them. Sometimes I forget that I also need to do certain things. So study up. It's very important.
Yeah. Yeah, there are expectations of you, the human, just as much as the animal.
Yes.
Okay.
But that is one of the great things, and one of the things we liked about Pet Partners is the emphasis on the team, not just the animal, but the human part also.
Yep.
It's made me better as a handler with an emphasis and education materials out there designed to help, the human half.
Yep. And in addition to the handler course, we have lots of other educational opportunities. We have a infection control course. We have a couple of ones for particular populations like veterans and people living with dementia. We have a canine body language course. So we're always seeking to make sure that our handlers are as well prepared as they can be for visits. All right, let's loop back to Tracy. Where do you and Roger visit? What's your favorite population?
So we visit at Phoenix Children's Hospital and for Hospice of the Valley. So we end up going to a lot of assisted livings and dementia care facilities. And he really loves older people. And I'd say they're probably his favorite population. I'm not really sure what that is. A lot of them are bedbound, so he will get into bed with them and just cuddle up. And sometimes they watch Netflix and he falls asleep. It's pretty similar at the Children's Hospital as well, but it's different because when we have a hospice patient, we usually just see that patient. But when we're at the hospital, we're there for 2 hours and he could see like 15 kids in that time. So I think really he can sense who needs him. And I always can tell that if someone is really a cat person, that he just opens up to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of amazing.
Yep. I experienced the same phenomenon. I used to visit with my cat Wayne in a nursing home every Tuesday in Queens. And you could always tell who the cat ladies were because he would just plop right down and relax and hang out with them. And so Steve and Kashia, you guys and Belen visited with grief counseling. I thought that's one of the things featured in the video that I thought was really interesting.
Right. Belen's had the opportunity to work in a wide range of fields, from Alzheimer's care all the way down to the youngest of children. But he has had a special affinity and has made a special mark in the fields of child trauma and grief at the Children's Shelter and the Children's Bereavement Center.
The Children's Shelter is specifically with children who have been abused, neglected, removed from their homes. So their story and Belen's story kind of basically mimic each other. And we got, that was kind of a natural fit for us from the very beginning. And then a couple years into being a pet partner, we found out about a pilot program for the Children's Bereavement Center of South Texas. They were interested in adding animal-assisted therapy to their tools, to their many forms of therapy. They do play therapy, music therapy, arts and crafts. They have group and individual counseling. So they wanted to add, in this particular case, they wanted to add dogs into their program. So we were one of the original teams that started back in 2015.
Great.
And the program has just grown so much. We have 10 teams now working in the center on various different style grief nights. They'll divide the children up on nights for the type of loss, sudden loss or chronic illness or even violence and homicide. So the children are a little more comfortable with, people with other children that have experienced something similar. But, the program has grown. It's now beginning to be emulated by other bereavement centers around the country. And it's just heartfelt that how much impact the animals have made with these kids.
Great. Bellen's really enjoying that scratch. Good job.
Anything to keep His Highness happy.
And Franklin was doing a little body language demonstration for us. So you want to talk about some of the rodents and rabbits and what cleaning means for them?
It's kind of debatable, honestly.
Oh, really?
Some people say that it might be because they're nervous. Some people say that it's because they're comfortable. I know Franklin. I know he's just fine. So It depends on the rat. He did do some boggling earlier, which is when rats are happy, kind of like with cats. It's like a purring with cats. But with rats, they grind their teeth. I don't have any tree, buddy. They grind their teeth, and that kind of like that vacuum, the vacuum effect, like their eyes will bulge out. So that's called boggling. And some people see it just like with purring. It could be is mostly a happy thing. It could be a nervous thing. It depends on the whole body language. But with him, if you have like the whole body just really relaxed and just like boggling away, he's pretty dang happy. It's a great thing to see when he's doing like visits and such.
Hi, Franklin, looking right at the camera.
He's like, hello.
And what about you, Tracy? What are some of Roger's signs that he's really into it and having a good time?
Well, it's funny because he was never much of a purr. Well, he purrs all the time, but it's vibrations. You can't really hear it. But ever since he started like at the children's hospital, he's now purring loudly, like that you can hear it and not just like vibrating. Because the kids used to be like, oh, he's not purring. And then we'd get a stethoscope and put it on his chest.
Cool.
And it's almost like he doesn't want to do that anymore. So he's like, fine, I'll purr loud.
That's great.
That's adorable.
And he falls asleep a lot too, which makes me think that he's feeling very secure and trusted.
Mm-hmm. Yep, taking a snooze. And what about Bellin? What is Bellin's sign that he's really having a good time and he's relaxed and happy?
You could just tell by his level of engagement with the people that we're visiting with. He's always just total attention on the person he's with and what he's doing. And you could just tell that he just enjoys making them feel better. The more up the person he's visiting with gets, the more up he gets. Mm-hmm.
He's very relaxed. He does often, because we work with kids, he does kiss them, especially the kids at the shelter that haven't experienced a whole lot of affection, and they're just, eager to receive it from Bellin. So yeah, he does a lot of kissing on his kids.
Does he make good eye contact? He's got those piercing blue eyes.
Oh yes. He always is, just watching his, whoever's petting on him, and like he's listening to every word they say.
Hi, Nancy. Thanks for tuning in with your Newfies. I got the privilege of evaluating a whole group of Newfoundlands in North Carolina last year. It was incredible. They were all from the same breeder, so they were all related. So it was really hard for us guest evaluators to keep track of them, but the owners knew who they all were. They were just big black balls of love for us, but that was a really, really great experience.
Were they all like very similar in their outcome for their test?
So that was a really great thing of we really got to see how every animal is an individual. There were some dogs who were kind of all over the place and distracted and not really prepared with their skills. And there were some dogs who were like, I'm ready, I got this, I'm going to say hi to everyone, I'm listening to my handler. So it was the whole spectrum, but they were Newfies, so everybody was pretty chill and friendly. Like, I've never had that many times where I had to hug the dog in the test and was like not worried at all. Everybody was like, okay, I'm getting a hug. It was nice. Aw, Trisha's mini horse falls asleep when he gets pets. ultimate relaxation. Okay, so I am assuming that a lot of the people who are tuning in are thinking about joining Pet Partners, and they want to know how to get started. So would each of you share a little bit about, like, how did you learn about Pet Partners? Are you a member of a group? How did you get started? And we'll start with Steve and Kashia first this time.
Okay, well, it actually was my fault, so I'll answer that question, as Steve likes to say.
This was supposed to be her thing.
And you got roped in.
And
Longtime rescuers, and she's like, she wants to do this, and I'm like, okay, but this is your thing. And no.
In my spare time, as I say, in my spare time, I'm a pediatrician. And so I'd always, of course, been an animal lover my whole life. And it just kind of, animal assisted therapy was something I was really interested in. It kind of married my two loves of animals and taking care of people. So it was something that, that we automatically kind of gravitated toward. And when we realized Belen had maybe had the gift and could do it, we, worked hard. We started, I think Steve mentioned earlier, we originally started at an Alzheimer's facility, and we kind of locally organized with our Therapy Animals of San Antonio group, and they helped us find placement. And that's how we kind of started with the Alzheimer's care facility. And then kind of moved toward the hospital, one of the local hospitals. We worked, and in fact, right up until he retired, he was working in one of the children's emergency rooms as his third placement, in addition to the other placements we were talking about. So Belen was a very busy guy for a long time. But, everything just kind of grew. The children's shelter for me, I knew about that place for a long time, and knowing Belen's story, it was something I had my eye on, but I wanted to wait a little bit until we were a little bit more experienced of a team, because that was a very challenging environment. I mean, the kids are very excited to see him, and it is kind of a little more chaotic. You might have, 5 or 10 kids all of a sudden around him at one time and petting on him and, getting very excited. So there's a lot of energy there. And so I wanted to, to kind of gradually work our way into it, not just for him to be prepared for the kids, but for me to be prepared. And it actually worked well, because Steve and I kind of work as a team. In addition to Belen here, he'll kind of watch my back if, somebody's coming at him, maybe too hard or something, and I don't see it out of the corner of my eye. We could kind of work it, a little bit more easily that way. So once we were experienced enough, then we felt like we could move into that venue and, just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
And then like you mentioned, the bereavement center kind of popped up a couple of years after that. And so we kind of jumped at that opportunity as well.
Cool. Yeah. So there's like different versions of what this looks like. It sounds like, Steve and Kashia had a local group that they were connected with, and Kashia is a pediatrician, so they kind of had connections to the healthcare community. But we encourage and empower any volunteer, if they're acting as an individual, if there isn't a group near them, you're allowed to approach a local facility or organization in your community and ask them if they're interested in having visits. We provide lots of documentation and materials on our website to support you. So even if you don't have a local group near you, it is still definitely possible to participate in this work. And then, so Tracy, you're a member of the Arizona chapter, yes?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Is that how you got started? You got connected to a local group?
No, actually, so when Roger was a kitten, he was really outgoing, and I thought that volunteering with him would be good. And I knew someone who worked for Hospice of the Valley, where I volunteer through, and she said, we're looking for a cat. So they told me, well, we only accept Pet Partners for cats. So I went to the Pet Partners website and read through everything and got started there.
Great. Good for you guys. And then what about you, Abby?
I was actually going to an event, a local event in Rome, Georgia, and actually just stumbled upon Compassionate Paws, who had a booth there. I actually had my first 2 rats with me. I like to bring them to events. It's fun. It gets them out, and I get to teach people. That's what I was already doing. And I talked to them like, are therapy rats a thing? And they're like, actually, I think so. Yeah. I'm like, well, I'm going to do that next. And so I did. And so that's when Oliver came along, and then Vincent, and then Franklin, and just on and on.
Yeah. That's how I kind of got started too. I used to work for the ASPCA, and they were a community partner. So I had adopted my cat without intentions of doing this, and I realized that he was awesome. And I saw a flyer, and I was like, "Oh, we can do that. Okay, let's do it." Okay, so we've actually had like a pretty good time with this conversation. I'm really happy. If any of our people who are our audience have questions, please post them.
I know there was a question from one of my friends, Angie, from Instagram, asking about the harness that we use. It's called a Guru harness from happyratshop.com. They hand make specific rat harnesses. That's what we use. We have a couple of them. That's like the rainbow one, the best.
Yeah. Pet Partners has
there really is a shop for everything.
Pet Partners has equipment guidelines. We don't allow any training collars, so like no prong, no shock, slip, anything that you use some kind of force to communicate with the dog. Those aren't allowed. We do allow head harnesses like halties and gentle leaders. We allow regular harnesses, martingales, things like that, and the regular flat buckle collar, of course. But we have a guideline about that. If you have questions about equipment, you'll be able to find it very easily when you start your registration. Yes, martingales are accepted. Anything that is limited slip, so those only tighten to a point, so they're okay. We're trying to reduce risk of injury to the animal as well. Yes, we do go into elementary schools and libraries, and there's two different kinds of visits. There's the spontaneous social visits, which we call animal-assisted activities, where you just you sign in and you go visit people. Usually there's some guidance around it, but the actual interactions themselves are not very structured or directed. They're just kind of social visits. Then there's the other kind, which are animal-assisted therapy and animal-assisted education, where you, the volunteer, and your animal are working with a professional to help someone meet some goals. So you might be working with like a physical therapist who's helping someone increase their range of motion and flexibility by petting your animal, or you may be working with a teacher or an educator on some literacy goals or something like that. And you're allowed to do either one of those. Some of our other special programs that I should mention are Read With Me. That's a reading and literacy program that our volunteers participate in. Do any of you guys do Read With Me? Yeah, I would imagine the rats are pretty good at it.
We did it with Vincent. As soon as we're able to, we'll do it with Franklin, see how he likes it.
Yep. And there's another one called Walk With Me. We have our world's largest pet walk in September. Keep an eye out for that. And that's, of course, encouraging people to get out and be active. Fingers crossed things will be open enough in September that we can all do that together. That'll be a lot of fun. It'll be kind of a big deal then.
We'll just walk around the living room. It's
yeah. And then we now have animal-assisted crisis response, which is our newer program. It's an extra credential that our volunteers can get if they want to be deployed in their communities if there's a natural or human-caused disaster. So once you become a registered team, you can take an additional course and you can earn that credential, and then you will be called upon if there's a local incident that people are requesting therapy animal visits for. And we've had a number of those across the country. Have any of you thought about joining AACR? Have you looked at the coursework at all?
I'd like to. That's one of my next goals.
All right, great. Definitely check it out.
I think it would just be too intense for Roger, so it's just not something we would do.
Yep, that's perfectly okay. That's a wise decision.
It's something we would definitely have looked more into had Bellin been a little younger. So maybe with the next one, we'll see.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of
right. And Bellin did a lot of that style work with the bereavement center before the program was, even officially out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He had gone to a few schools that had suffered some major tragedies. He's worked with, other victims of violence. And this is definitely something that if you've got a pretty calm, easygoing animal that can handle, those strong emotions, this might be for you.
So Drake makes a really good point, it might not be for you. It is very intense. You're dealing with people who are heavily traumatized. That's why we offer the extra training, and that's okay. We don't want people to feel pressured to go into environments where they're not suited or where they're not comfortable. We value all types of visits for the impact they have on the people in their communities. So that's fine. If you're not interested in the ASR, great. If you want to keep doing Read With Me at the library or some kind of humane education event or going to your local senior center, that's all great. We celebrate it all. We're grateful for it all. It's wonderful. Okay, so I think we're gonna start to close out unless there's a lot of questions that come in. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is if each of you handlers would share kind of your most poignant or memorable moment that you've had on a visit with a client. What kind of reaffirmed this work that you do?
There's so many.
I can go while everyone else thinks.
Yeah.
So Roger and I were asked to visit a hospice patient and to call her son before we visited. So we called her son that morning and we said, I said, we're going to go this afternoon. And he said, that's really great. She was asleep this morning and she wouldn't wake up for me. And so we went there in the afternoon and he got in bed with her and she was asleep. And I could see him looking around her room, and she had had a lot of cats in her lifetime. And she had pictures of like hundreds of cats, like kind of like posted on the walls of her assisted living. And he was looking at them and he was being so sweet with her. And then I realized like 15 minutes in, because I was like a very new volunteer, that like she wasn't just asleep and she wasn't going to wake up. And we stayed for 2 hours because he didn't want to leave. And then we got the call the next day that she died just a few hours after we left.
Wow.
And it was like he thought like, oh, she loved cats her whole life. I can't leave her.
Yeah, he made sure that he could say goodbye to her. That's really touching. Yeah, end of life visits are one of the harder ones. So really kudos to you, Tracy, for taking that on. It's wonderful work that you and Roger are doing. Okay, who else wants to share?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
There's so many. We've had kids with. I had a kid who visited with us who was visually impaired and in a wheelchair, and he reached out. I brought, it was with Oliver, so I brought Oliver right up to him. And he was, feeling Oliver. He just smiled. It was the cutest thing. I've had kids, we have a really cute YouTube video of this kid just making all these goo-goo noises at the rats. It's adorable. But I think recently the one that is the silliest one, but I think is the best. Somebody made like a meme out of Vincent because we had an article about the reading program about it's like Vincent helping kids read. And they made a meme out of it with like Thor from the Avengers saying that's what heroes do. Just a random meme on Reddit I just found by chance. I'm like, that's the best thing ever.
Oh, that's so sweet.
We get so much stuff from social media. It's heartwarming. It makes me want to keep doing what I do. Some days you're like, why do I want to keep doing this? And then I see all this, and it's a lot of work to train a rat and do all this stuff, but getting that response from people and seeing how big an effect you're making, that's what keeps me going. So
little 2-pound heroes.
Yeah, 1 pound, not even 2.
No, it's been more rewarding than we could have ever imagined. I mean, one of our favorite stories was when we were at the children's shelter, and with the kids, we would tell them, kind of age appropriate story of Bellen's history of abuse and now what he's doing, and that he was fostered and adopted, because a lot of these kids are also going through that process. So we began telling a little boy about his story, and he had actually just come to the shelter and hadn't really talked or anything, and he just kind of sat there and listened to Bellen's story, and he goes, oh, he was beaten like me. Mm-hmm. And that just immediately, it melts the heart. And he started petting on Bellen as he's talking about what happened and what he went through. it was really what they said was the first time he'd opened up to anyone. And so that's probably one of the biggest. We've had so many. I think Steve
Right.
had
And
one too.
I mean, one night at the bereavement center, he had been there a couple of years. And at the beginning of each group, everybody, we're in our what we call opening circles, where we introduce ourselves, say our name and the person that we've lost. And this one child just had a breakdown trying to say his sister's name. And Bellin this was when we knew Bellin just knew what he was doing now. He just moved up right next to the child, sat there, leaned over, gave him one little kiss on the arm, and pulled back just to let him know that he was like there. And within a minute, the kid is reaching over, petting on Bellin, hugging on him a little bit. The eyes start to dry. He starts to find his voice and starts to talk about his sister. Bellin just lies down on his feet for the rest of group, and he continues to get petted on. And you could just almost watch the strength go from Bellin to the child. And knowing that all of our animals are making that level of impact. I mean, we walk out of group sometimes wondering who got the therapy here, us or them. But yeah, I mean, the whole 7 years has just been full of magic moments like this.
And sometimes the ones we didn't even know happened. We will hear on our social media, on Bellin's Facebook page, what an impact we made, and we didn't even realize we made that much of an impact.
That happened to me a lot with Wayne. That it was kind of a delay that the person would realize how much they appreciated the visit, like long after the fact. That's all great, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, so there are some questions now. We have someone from Malaysia. Hi, Ahmad. We are an international organization. We are in over a dozen countries now, including Argentina and Greece. Those are the places where there's a big group. So maybe Malaysia will be on the list someday. Thank you so much for your interest. Please help spread the word about Pet Partners. Hopefully we can get there and get some people to join. We are international.
Franklin has hiccups.
There was another one. Oh yeah. Any tips about cats and kids using public transportation? So one of the things that I used to be the community partner leader in New York City, so public transit was a big deal there. A lot of people with dogs, unfortunately, were not allowed on the public transit. They had to use rideshare and ask for permission, and that was expensive. In most places, if your animal is safely contained, usually public transit is okay, but it will depend on your community. One of the more important things that you as a handler need to consider is whether your animal will tolerate it. I wonder if that's what you're asking. So like we said before, slow and steady, short bursts, make it positive. Don't immediately get on the bus for an hour. Get on the bus, go one stop, get off, go home. That's it. Make it nice.
Get on the bus, go to Dairy Queen, get some vanilla ice cream, let them have something, and get back on the bus and go home.
Yeah. So just make it slow and positive and easy. But the rules and guidelines are going to vary depending on what community you're in. We had someone years ago in New Jersey who somehow got the okay from her local public transit to let her therapy animal go on the bus. But therapy animals do not have the same rights of access as service animals. They have to have permission. So hopefully maybe you'll get lucky and you have a connection to whoever's in charge of your local transit, and you can show them our standards and let them know that Pet Partners therapy animals are pretty safe and reliable, and it's worth it to let them on, but we don't know what your local rules are. Are there any other? Okay, good. So tips, yes. Take it slow, have rewards, check in with them, make sure that they're okay with it. Great. Are there any other questions about Pet Partners and therapy animals? There was a dog that used to ride the bus alone in Seattle. Yeah, there's lots of stories about really smart dogs using public transit. I love those stories. All right, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much, guys. Ralph says meow. Hi, Ralph.
Thanks for having us, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Happy National Therapy Animal Day, everybody.
Happy National Therapy Animal Day, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.